One of the things that really sets Nanobox apart from other platform as a service offerings out there, aside from the fact that it's truly portable and can run anywhere, is that Nanobox isn't a black box. In fact, Nanobox, not only do we prevent access, but we encourage you, and we have gone, Nanobox goes to great lengths to ensure that that process of accessing your servers and your applications running in production is as easy as it can possibly be. So let's get right in and show how that works. So here in my dashboard, I notice that I have the individual server that the components are running on. And so if I wanted to console into those, I'm presented with a command, nanobox console do.1. So I'll copy that and go right over to our terminal here. Paste that in. So the one thing though is I do have to be at the root of my application, and in this case I am. I'm at the root of this application, which also has been added as a remote. If I can type that command correctly, so we can see that IC Island here has been added as a remote, and that lines up with the application here. So now that it's been added as a remote, and I have and I'm actually in the directory of the application, I can now console into that server by simply saying nanobox console do.1, which is the name of that server. And immediately I'm dropped right into the server that's running in production with a nice warning that reminds me that I'm on a live production Linux server. And so it's not recommended that you make changes, but it is a great way for you to introspect. And we can actually see with Docker here, with Docker PS, that we have all of our containers are up and running that are running on this server. And I really can run any normal command that I would. This is the fully encrypted remote session, so that's pretty cool. And now let's see. So this is helpful if for some reason I need to hop in the server and kind of get a sense of what's going on, or if something just goes awry, and following our troubleshooting docs, you need to just jump in and make a quick change. But most of the time, when you're trying to get into your application, you really want to get to the heart of your application itself. So here we can pop open our app components, and let's say that we want to jump in to the actual web component. So I can do the same thing, and the command is very similar. I'm now consoling into web.main, which happens to match up with the name of that component as I specified in my box file. This time as I console in, I'm going to get dropped directly into the container where this component is running, and you can actually see for sure that you're inside of a container, because when we list all of the running processes, it's actually very minimal. And we can see here that our Python app is running, so we can see python app.py, and really not much else is running. So I could, I list the contents here. I'm dropped in. I see the compiled source code, the entire contents of the production file that is being served. And if I needed to troubleshoot, if I needed to debug, if I needed to run some sort of Python interactive console here, or if it's Rails, maybe a Rails console, I can do that right at my production application. So it's not running in some other container somewhere that doesn't have access to that. It's running directly on that. And I can do the same thing with any of these components. So I can do the same thing with my database. I can console right into the database, and this time, when I list, I see a bunch of Postgres processes. So I can because here I'm using a Postgres database. So it's really cool. Nanobox encourages you to have access to your live application because sometimes things go wrong and sometimes you really do need access. While it's not recommended that you make any permanent changes, it is Nanobox has gone to great lengths to make sure that this process is as simple, is intuitive, and really just try to remove all of the burden and overhead, the SSH key management, just any of that. We try to remove that and just make it as simple, as intuitive as possible, and not try to get in your way and restrict access in any way. So hopefully this has been helpful. This is one of my personal favorite features about Nanobox, especially when apps are running in production and you need to go in and manipulate, troubleshoot, investigate. This has been immensely helpful. So hopefully you'll find this helpful as well. And thanks again. Stay tuned. We've got some really cool stuff coming up.